Right.
Just realised I got this piercing on the podcast side.
On the podcast side?
This is the only side you ever see.
Oh, I guess both of our earrings are going to be
I've
lost.
got the nose ring.
Oh, shit. Damn.
If we ever switch sides, they'll be like, what?
Whoa!
The nose
His
ring's
nose
gone,
ring
but the
disappeared.
ear's pierced.
As a like commemoration, I think you should get your other ear pierced at like a big milestone.
Okay.
Like podcast number 69.
69. What the one?
Come on, that's where all
Why
big podcasts celebrate that
Why
number.
number 69? What's so significant about the number 69?
They're both multiples of 3. Welcome back to Plot to Go, episode number 19.
I think it is 19.
Yeah, it's 19. I actually had to correct the Spotify because I named 2 episodes episode 16. I'm doing great with numbers. I'm Jack.
I'm Owen.
And this week we're talking about the Thunderbolts.
Indeed.
Or just Thunderbolts asterisks.
Yeah, I keep wanting to call them the Thunderbolts.
I don't know why. I think that rolls off the tongue a little.
I think
Better.
the at the start of things works.
But do you say the Avengers? Oh no, Avengers.
It depends, because in my brain I'm like, oh, if you're talking about the first film, I'm like, oh, Avengers Assemble, but that's only the UK.
See,
So-
I've never said that.
I had to train myself to be like, the Avengers, because that's what the...
Oh, it is the.
think
Yeah,
it
you're
is,
right. But it's not like the Guardians. No, it's not. It's not.
No, it's
the
just Guardians,
It's just
I think.
Guardians. Yeah. Anyway, semantics. Fun. We will be talking about the second arc in Andor. Andor's episode 4 to 6, and Doctor Who episode 4.
Yeah!
Woohoo! Stick around for that incredible discussion. Should we just dive right into the Thunderbolts? It's a big old Marvel movie.
Yeah, go
Owen.
for it.
I'm
I'm reading your review.
Don't read my
I'm
review.
in the middle of reading your review.
No. Thunderbolts, if you do not know, is the latest MCU movie. Feels like we've actually spoken about the MCU like not that long ago. Well, I guess I spoke about Daredevil like 2 weeks ago.
Which I missed.
Yeah. But like even Captain America, that feels so recent to
Yeah.
then have another MCU movie.
And it's going to be like this for...
Eternity.
Yeah.
Till you're 90.
Till I'm 90.
No, I mean, there isn't anything slated after Fantastic Four, weirdly, for the rest of the year.
Sure, in terms of superhero movies, we get Superman.
Oh, I mean, for like Marvel specifically. Or
Films.
films, yeah. Do you know Ironheart's coming out in June?
Nope, didn't
Yeah.
know that.
There's a whole thing about why Disney might not be promoting that, which is
Because it's bad?
sad.
Or because they're trying to kill it.
racist?
Yep,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
Woohoo! But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Thunderbolts asterisks. Everyone deserves a second shot. Quite like the tagline to this.
Why not a second chance?
Shot because they have guns. Damn right. This was directed by Jake Schreier, who is, I would say, most well known for his Netflix miniseries, which is now a show, Beef.
He did Paper Towns,
He
which
did
I've
Paper
seen, but
Towns
I've
as
not
well.
seen Beef.
Beef is so good. I highly recommend everybody to go watch Beef. What was it? He made another movie. No? Like another big
the Frank
movie?
one.
Yes.
Robot and Frank.
Yes, that. And if you've seen the marketing for this movie, it's got all the A24 bangers, the crew that worked on A24 movies. A lot of them are just the people that worked on Beef that have just came over. It's like a lot of the same crew, which is kind of cool.
I like that. I like when people have like their crew that they do projects with.
Yeah, same. I think if it works once, it could work again.
I think that's something Christopher Nolan has. There's people that he likes to work with.
Yeah.
Whether it's actors or like crew.
Like Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, but he's like moved on a bit.
Yeah, he has. He's left them behind.
No, I think it's like a mutual decision where they're probably
Yeah.
like, let's not just become the duo that do
We've
stuff
done enough.
together. Yeah,
It's kind of like the John Williams,
George Lucas.
John Williams, Steven Spielberg kind of
Oh,
situation.
sure. Yeah. Because at some point, you're not.
They like come back to each other.
Yeah, like you're not just there to do scores for the other person, because they're big projects for the director and the composer, and then you don't want to make it so that all of your projects are just with the same person.
Yeah.
It's not interesting.
That is so true, Owen.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have got the Oppenheimer score.
If it weren't
Crazy.
for Ludwig Göransson.
What a man. The Thunderbolts follows 7? 7.
1,
We'll
2,
say
3,
7.
4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7.
Barely 7. Oh, also, this is non-spoilers. We're going to go non-spoilers and then there will be a spoiler section.
No, I'm gonna just spoil it.
Oh. It follows 7 anti-heroes, I guess you could call them. Straight up villains and murderers and a ragtag group of misfits.
Yeah, it's like superhero anti-villains, but in the real world, they are just bad people.
Yeah, yep.
Like, they do just murder people.
In this universe, they're
Yeah,
but in
it's
our
great.
universe, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
They are thrust together because, well, can I say that it's not actually spoiling it, I guess?
I guess you can. They just all end up in a circumstance that they just end up like meeting each other, and then that's where it goes.
They're pushed into a circumstance
Yeah.
that means that they end up forming a team called the Thunderbolts to take down the Void.
Yeah, it's the Void.
It is the Void. I quite like that as a name.
Yeah, my brain went to another place because I watched the last episode of Chernobyl last night, and he was
Sorry, what?
it was on. I was with friends and we were channel flipping.
Oh, okay. It wasn't that you've been rewatching Chernobyl.
No, it's funny. We landed on that episode and then all of us just got sucked in.
I mean, fair. It's a great
Yeah.
show.
And one of the words that they use when they're describing the nuclear reactor is the word void. And so you said that, my brain was like, "We're."
Marvel.
My brain went to a different place.
Owen, your thoughts on the Thunderbolts? Or Thunderbolts, sorry.
I liked it a lot. I do think, I don't want to say it's overhyped. The whole thing of like your review
Yeah.
sarcastically starts, the MCU is back.
Yeah.
Because that's what everyone's been saying. I do think this is a very good project. I think it is one of the best ones in the past couple of years. I'm trying to think of like the actual films that have come out that have been decent. Because my dad was like, "Oh, supposedly it's the best one since Endgame," and I was like, "Spider-Man 3 came out since Endgame," and then I couldn't think of another film. I suppose Deadpool Wolverine. This is a better film than Deadpool Wolverine, and both of those films were nostalgia bait, really. Whereas this is completely own thing. Like, this couldn't be nostalgia bait because it has characters in it which have not been interesting characters in the other things they've been in, aside from Bucky. And like you said, Florence Pugh's character like has brought up scenes in that she's in like in not great projects. In a similar way, Michael Fassbender like brings up scenes in like Dark Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's like a ragtag team put together. You kind of don't think this film's gonna work from. I guess the first trailer was like decent, but you kind of watch it and think, oh, they're doing a Suicide Squad with the MCU, but it really does work. I think these characters, the reason that they didn't work before is because they weren't necessarily explored enough.
Yeah.
There's this film really centers around trauma, and a lot of the characters, one specifically that we probably won't get into in the non-spoilery review, but given the circumstances in this film, you kind of get to explore trauma in an interesting way for more than one of the characters, and it's quite nice because what it means is that you get to like it's show don't tell. Thank God. And you really get to dive into like these characters' pasts and see why they are the way they are. I don't know what else to say about this film. You said it was shot well. I thought it was like a Marvel movie. I disagree with what I was saying, but I know what I meant. And in terms of like there's like that, I still think there was like polish that gave it like that Marvel-y look. One of the best shots in the film, I think, was like right at the start. There's like a bit of the building with someone stood on top of it. We saw this in IMAX 3D.
3D, baby.
And it works in some places and it doesn't work in others. If it was like a wide, I think it worked. If it was a close-up, it was kind of rough. I don't know why that is. It's like it's like the closer the person was to the center of the screen, it was fine, and then the vision just kind of got like weirdly warped on the outside. Did you mention the score? I think you really like the score in
I
this.
really like the score.
I kind of went unnoticed for me, not in a bad way, just like there was nice parts of it, but there was nothing that like really stood out to me, especially having watched Sinners on Tuesday.
I think on the score is it just feels refreshing for a superhero movie. Like you have the like dun 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 dun,
yeah,
but then you also have like piano ballad, like quieter moments. That's also, I guess, a reflection of the movie being more quiet than a lot of like superhero stuff that's been put to screen.
Yeah.
But there's a motif that I fucking love. That's like somebody falling down a xylophone. It's like doo 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 doo, and they're all like with their guns and stuff. I'm like, yes, this is like spy shit. I love it.
Nice. Spy shit.
Yeah.
This is the closest we've got back to Winter Soldier.
Truly. Fucking miles away from Secret Invasion. Thank God. Thank God that, yeah.
There was something that you just said there that like sparked a thought, and I've lost it straight away.
Secret Invasion. Were you thinking of
No,
Gaia?
It was before. It's when you were talking about the music and things. Oh, the scenes in this film. I think for the first half of this film, people will be in the same position that I was, where I was sitting there and we really sat in scenes for a while. It works very well, especially by the end of the film, because it lets it breathe and lets you sit with characters instead of just going from shot to shot to shot. It's less of a fucking slideshow compared to like Captain America, for example, which is actually, yeah, Captain America, no pun intended, is an abomination compared to this film. Yeah, you really get to sit in scenes. I think when I mentioned it to you, you were like, sometimes probably for too long. But I disagree with that, having got like to the end point. I think it works overall.
Well, with that, I was saying like, I'd much rather sit in a scene for a little bit longer than maybe it's necessary.
Yeah.
Than to splice through stuff and not develop any characters at all.
Yeah. I don't know how to talk about this film without spoiling it. I want to get into
spoilers.
Yeah.
On that, with the scenes as well, I think this is interesting that it's not heavy on set pieces. Like, it is mainly 3 bits. You have a part that's centered around a facility. You have a part that's centered around like a desert period, and then you have a part that's centered around New York. Even though all of those sound quite large, it's just where the characters are.
But there was that massive scene with the guy in the chicken suit.
Well, spoilers, there's a chicken suit in this. Yeah. As I sarcastically wrote, the MCU is back. Like, so many people have been saying that, and it really it grinds my gears, because I'm like, Agatha All Along came out, November? Like, finished up November last year. It is not that long of a period of time between November and now for a studio to have made something good. Like, they've made bad stuff in between. Some people would say that Daredevil was good. I wouldn't. But, like, I don't think their output should be reflected in everybody being like, oh, it's done for, or oh, it's great, or But I agree with what people are saying also for this movie specifically, because it is, like, grounded MCU. And it's not been that. It's been, like, multiversal shit, and have you watched these 7 projects to understand this? And actually, we're not even going to care about the writing in those 7 projects that you've watched, because we're going to do our own thing. And it's weird, because going into this, you kind of think, I'm going to have seen Black Widow and everything Bucky's in, and like Ant-Man and the Wasp and all this stuff to understand it, and you absolutely don't.
Yeah.
Something that I'm actually going to be really interested to hear my thoughts on this after I go rewatch it, because I do want to rewatch it.
In the cinema?
Yeah, I think so. Partly because I don't love the 3D. We kind of had to go see it in 3D, which sucked. So I do want to see it again without it and just see how it plays. Because I'm not secure in necessarily how I feel about the movie. I do think it is good, and like I was saying, like harkening back to that kind of style. I do still think it's clunky in areas. I was saying to you, and I know you didn't feel this way, and we went with Samuel, shout out again.
He's not listening.
No, he might.
He might actually be listening to this one.
He is not an MCU person. I'm shocked that he wanted to see it with us, for being honest.
Didn't avoid this one.
Yeah. And he has missed, I think, did he say everything? He'd seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. He was aware who Ghost was, and that was it. And obviously knew who Bucky was, but like everybody else, he didn't have a clue, and he didn't find it difficult to enjoy. I think because they do a good job of going like, you're blank, 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 did blank. And that's enough that you need to know about like their base level character.
Yeah.
In the same way that you can watch the Avengers and not have watched those previous movies. Like, it all relatively functions.
Yeah, I think I did at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think when that came out, I'm not certain if I'd seen at least one of Captain America and Thor.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I guess as a kid, you're probably not paying as much attention to like all
The
that stuff
narrative,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is right. I don't think you necessarily have to have watched a lot of that. It will be a little bit confusing, I think, because it kind of ties straight into Thor. So you're kind of like just taking what they say at face value as opposed to like knowing what happened before. I
just think in that movie, like the way that you're introduced to characters feels a little bit more natural. I didn't think it was completely natural here, where they're like, "Oh, you're the girl who did it." Yeah, I am. Here's my little backstory drop, and like a lot of characters had interactions like this at the start. It settled right into it after that, and I didn't mind it. But it was getting to that point that I was like, ugh, this feels a little like janky in areas.
Yeah, and I said to you I didn't have a problem with that at all because I found all the characters forgettable in the previous project.
Sure.
So like I needed a reminder of the crap that they'd done. And when they said things, then the images came flowing back. But before that, I was just like, I know they suck, but I don't know why.
See, I'm just a massive fan of every single one of these characters, so that's why I was so invested.
Yeah, John Walker has always been the most interesting character.
I think he is quite interesting.
I feel like now they've made him more interesting.
I think even in that show,
I think he was one of the weaker parts.
Gosh, that's so interesting. He's miles more interesting than the Flag Smashers.
Yeah, the villains in that show are the weakest part.
Yeah. I don't know.
Isaiah was, I think, the most interesting.
Oh, yeah. No, I had a good time with this. I think the reason it works as well as it does is the characters and the performances, specifically Yelena. It is her movie. It could be called Yelena and the Thunderbolts.
It could have been.
I don't think they should have done that, but
Yelena's Thunderbolts.
That's great. Sponsored by Mike's Tires or whatever.
Spoilers.
Oh, sorry. It's not really. Her performance is incredible, and I think centering the story around her trauma is a great choice. Film opens with her. She is the emotional core of that team. She's the emotional core of where the villain hero dynamic comes from. And I found her super interesting. She balances a line of comedy and seriousness that's really well done. Especially in this later half of the MCU, so post Endgame, I think very few actors it comes from the writing as well, but very few actors have been able to sort of toe that line between getting the Marvel humor but also grounding the character and making it feel real.
I feel like that says a lot about the writing, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also think just with the nature of there being Marvel humor, if an actor isn't able to make that feel real and lived in, it's not going to work. And that's happened in so many of the recent projects. I feel like anybody in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, people just roll their fucking eyes.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Because that would have had somewhat serious moments in it. But that one, I don't know if that's a great example because it is so much comedy because it is Ant-Man, where they had the freaking big head dude.
Yeah, Modal.
And that was all just comedy. Whereas that could have been,
or the Marvels then. Again, a movie that neither of us think is as bad as people say it is, but the comedy quips versus serious moment. I just was impressed with her. I think specifically with her performance as well, because they are giving her like a mental health narrative as well, something that is quite serious. It never felt like they were at odds with each other.
No, yeah, no, both the writing but also her performance were like masterful in this film.
Yeah.
I am a massive Florence Pugh fan.
We're Pugh heads. So
Yeah. And I feel like that's been like an upward slope for like a while. Like I feel like she just like keeps showing up and stuff, and she smashes it every time.
Yeah. She picked. I think I'm bringing stuff that's out with the movie, but the way that she just cares about everything that she's in is refreshing. There's so many people that will view Marvel movies as like a paycheck, and I don't think she does, and I think that comes across in her performance. Like, I think there's a reason people are having the reaction to this that they are. I think it's the third highest MCU movie on like Rotten Tomatoes. Endgame,
Wow.
Infinity War. No, sorry. Winter Soldier, Civil War, and this.
That will move.
I think so, but I think the strength of the initial outpour,
Yeah.
is mainly because people are just taking this serious. That applies to her, but I also think like the wider crew actually giving a shit about the movie, it not having to undergo like a million reshoots and stuff, just feels like there's a degree of care.
This felt connected enough to the world that it was like, oh, this is an MCU project, but was like its own thing.
Yeah,
like
totally.
it just its entirely own thing that was happening off in the world.
In a way that Guardians did, I think. In the
Yeah.
initial bit.
Yes, exactly that. Actually, I think Guardians was still more disconnected.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But like, and the way that this is connected is barely. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just that, like, for example, Bucky was in Captain America, so obviously like his role in that is similar to his role in, or his job in that is similar to his job in this. So you just know that the events are like around about the same time as each other, and there's just like offhand mentions of things that are going on, but like there's not anything. There's no forced character cameo or anything where they're like, we need help from this one dude, and then go and like hang out with Bruce Banner to get something like that.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Just like there's nothing like that. It's just like spoilers that he's not.
Spoilers. Bruce Banner's not in this movie.
Yeah.
No, it's refreshing to be like, they're comfortable enough in their own project that they can sit with it and not have to rely on other people to come in. Because the scene in Captain America very much feels like, this movie's shit. Maybe we need a little pop-off moment.
Which scene is that? This is
The one with Bucky, like the good scene in Captain America.
Oh yeah, because it's one of those ones where it's the same thing with Thunderbolt's daughter, in the is her name? Her name's not Peggy. Betty in Captain America 4. You don't remember she's in it.
Oh my god!
At the
Yes,
end.
yes,
It's
yes,
the same
yes.
thing where there's
Exactly.
just mentions
Yeah.
of these characters.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, they either didn't want to pay them, or they didn't think there was room for them in this film, or something. And then both of them show up at
Yep.
like weird fucking points in the film.
It totally just felt like a reshoot for them to be like, okay, this will get the fans hyped and also links it to Thunderbolts, I guess.
Yeah.
You're center. Yeah?
Yeah.
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 David Harbour, to kind of stick on the cast,
Okay.
I thought
Comedy
was
core?
so good. Somebody as well that I think that could have fallen flat on its face, but his comedy is so funny.
I don't think it was always the best, but I think the fact that his performance is he fully goes for it
Yeah.
with the ridiculousness is what works.
Yep.
If he'd held back for like a second, I think it would have like properly fallen flat.
I agree.
But he's fully in it, and I think it's nice to have. I think part of the reason that as it works is like he is like this like wholesome core to the team,
yeah.
where he just wants the team to be kind of like a family. Which the funniest part of that to me is like, you can tell this is like a very caring, like almost like father figure, who is just like was just a murderer as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
yeah,
just funny that they had when we were watching like the final scenes of the film. I just found it funny sitting there watching 3 people with the super soldier serum and thinking about like how they're all like quite different. Like they've all had their own different like traumas in the past.
Oh, you're
And they're all
right.
like these really fucked up versions of like Captain America or something.
Oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Like the different routes Steve Rogers could have taken.
I guess, yeah. Put them in like different circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, that comes all the way down to like the actual who that character is. So you wouldn't necessarily say it would be Steve Rogers.
No. But like, had they picked somebody else to be Captain America, yeah, that's really interesting. I also, I'm glad he's like this comedic heart and whatever, but they give him emotional stuff as well. And I sometimes feel like in MCU movies, the comedic person is the comedic person, and they're not given any depth or anything.
Yeah,
I think his relationship with Yelena's great. I think one of the best scenes in the movie is a conversation they have.
Yeah, I did notice that when he would get more emotional, I think his accent, or when he got into like lower moments where he wasn't as eccentric, his accent would slip.
Oh, did you?
There's a point quite early on in the film where they're changing from one, like the living room to the kitchen or something. And he says something, and I'm pretty sure it's just like an American accent.
Love that.
Yeah.
He can only do Russian when it's like at
Yelling.
a 10.
Yeah.
Do you want to just keep going further down the cast?
Yeah, go for it.
Lewis Pullman is probably like bar Florence Pugh, the standout of the movie, I think, for me. He plays Bob. I guess maybe save more conversation about him for spoilers, but I just think without his performance, I don't think the movie quite functions as well. But it's sort of him and Florence Pugh that hold it. I was thinking about this. How many MCU movies can you say had like a theme? Had like a thematic like through line? Like, I don't think there's that many at all. And that's kind of how like a lot of movies function.
Not as an obvious one.
Sure, yeah.
But you know what this film is.
For a scene, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Whereas like other ones probably have more generic themes, probably.
Yeah. Like Winter Soldier, like friendship, and like always being there for your friend.
Yeah, a lot of them will be like love, family.
Yeah. Love, family, fighting.
USA.
You kid, but probably
that's actually remembering when I watched a TikTok the other day that was talking about film cinema in general from like 90s, 2000s, 2010s. You had like the 90s where it was like questioning authority, and then 9/11 happened, and then you got 2000s with a lot of superhero films that were like USA, like Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then you get to the 2010s, and then you get to something like Civil War, for example, where it starts questioning authority again, just like ebbs and flows. So
interesting, actually. Never really thought of it like that. Well, hopefully Fantastic Four is going to bring us all the way back to USA. Yeah, we'll speak about it more. I really liked Wyatt Russell. I really liked him in this.
Yeah, I think he was one of those characters that they fleshed out more in this, and it really works. And you're talking about comedy and drama. He also does quite a good balance of that.
Totally. His comedy as well, which I love, is a completely different style. It's like dirty comedy. It not
like
way
dad's
that's
comedy?
wrong. No, like dirty's the wrong word that you think like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But like
in the film,
like nastier humor, I guess.
Yeah.
But still like worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Bobby! Anytime you say Bobby.
Actually, is the weakest character here freaking Ghost?
So this was what I was going to get to. I think Sebastian Stan and what's her name? Hannah John Kamen. I like them both in this movie. I don't know how you feel.
No, I mean, I think the cast in general all did a good job.
Yes, yeah. And I think their performances are good.
Yeah.
I actually quite like the quips Ghost gets specifically.
She gets good, God, I think it was Escape Pod that I saw talking about this.
Oh, really?
They were talking about, like, them not getting loads of lines, but, like, I think she has, like, good facial expressions.
Yes, she's great. Or, like, background, she's reacting to stuff. I felt that as well. I just think that the pair of them don't get much at all in this movie to do.
It makes sense for Bucky in some ways.
Because we've seen him.
We've had so much of Bucky, and given the way that the scenes are in this film, where Bucky actually is placed in this film. But Ghost is in a lot of this film and doesn't get a lot of screen time.
It's annoying because I actually I wouldn't go as far as say, oh, you can remove her and it doesn't change, because I think the film becomes a little less funny and the dynamics change. It's just annoying. She's like the most powerful, I guess, there. Her powers are cool. I know Ant-Man and the Wasp is a shit movie, but her backstory is actually really interesting if you're talking about trauma and stuff. And I just find it interesting that they didn't want to extend the runtime by, say, like 10 minutes and dive into them. I think, oh, that's spoilers. Remind me when we get there, because I think there's a very, very easy way to include something for the pair of them that makes it better.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Do you want to just dive into spoilers?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, do you have anything else to say about the film before we move on? Aside from, I'd recommend people go see this one.
So would I. In the cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had a little bit of a dive with cinema for like maybe a month there, where we had like all of the Academy Awards and everything, and then like there was a dip with just nothing interesting. I think there was a week where you were like, there's nothing like this shit that we have to watch, and then now we're getting into blockbuster season. But yeah, no, I would recommend this. I did also just see Sinners with you, which I don't want to go into because I feel like we have enough to talk about.
Well, talk about you enjoyed it.
That's my point. I enjoyed it a lot. I'd probably recommend Sinners over this if I was to recommend someone go see something.
Yeah.
Let's move into spoilers probably.
There was something I was going to mention. Also, if you are sick and tired and burned out on the MCU or superhero projects in general, this has a really refreshing third act. It's refreshing overall, just for like Marvel and like how they've kind of went over the last few years and stuff, but for the genre it's refreshing as well. The way it wraps up, and I really appreciate that. So
whilst still feeling very MCU.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ends a little quick. Wish we sat with it.
It ends quick from a point.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is spoiler section. Big old spoiler warning.
Yep.
If you've not seen it, go away, come back and listen to this. Man, that scene where Hulk and Captain America were eating shawarma. Oh. Interesting. I think I watched a different movie. Right, the thing that I was going to say was that at the end of this movie, you have Florence Pugh going through the void to help Bob, and then suddenly all the Thunderbolts are there.
Yep.
It would have been so easy for when we cut back outside, because we do cut back outside and see Ghost specifically going, nah, she's done that for a reason. I'm going to go in there and go after her. Let Ghost go in a little bit earlier and let her trauma play out.
See, I knew you were going to say that. I'm really happy that didn't happen.
Why?
Because I didn't want to do the whole thing of like, let's see everyone.
Don't need to see everybody, but I think.
But by that point, we've done 3 of them.
But like, just to give Ghost a little bit more in the movie.
I'd just rather we got her more like in present, as opposed to just doing the trauma thing over and over again. Because when they did it with Florence Pugh at the start, and I was like, cool, that's an interesting way of seeing his abilities. I wonder if this is like a main ability of his, or if it's like he's just like this loose, powerful, like we don't know what it is that he has.
Yeah.
And that happens again with Wyatt Russell, and I was like, oh cool, we saw something there. And then they kind of the movie moves forward and we don't see any more, and I'm like, okay, they chose to stop it too, thank God, because if we just keep going. We
see Valentina.
We do actually, right at the end.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting though, it's not a member of the team.
Yeah. I love her reaction as well when he's like, oh sorry, like I can control it, and she just like plays off this, like she's clearly been traumatized, but she like snaps back in and is like, I can fucking weaponize that. Like, okay, give me a minute. I just want to ask you about her, because one of the criticisms I've seen thrown around about this movie is that she's horrendous in this movie, and I could not disagree more.
I actually get that.
No.
But I also I know what you enjoy, and I know that you like would really like that performance.
Oh, please expand further, because I'm so curious.
It's just like one of those. It's just comedy. It's pure comedy, and I know that you like that.
If anybody's seen Veep, she's playing evil Veep.
Right.
Like,
No, I do think it's over the top, but like it didn't bother me at all. But I don't think it's like necessarily a good performance. It's just like
I think in the political landscape we're in, a performance like that works. Because I'm like, yeah, this caricature of a human being could really rally a government behind them.
there's a really bad line in this where she says, "I'm unimpeachable."
Yes.
It's horrendous.
Yeah. I also was just like, oh, commentary. Ha 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 ha. She has a great line that I can't remember. But it's something like, opinions without... Oh no, something without power is just an opinion.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's... Yeah, you ate with that one. That was good. I can't remember what the starting line of that sentence is, though.
It's probably like values or morals without power. It's just an opinion or something.
Something sinister.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed... I guess that's something we didn't really speak about. Maybe, like, a third of the movie cuts to, like, her story with, oh my god, Mel.
I don't think it was that much of the film.
I think it's a large part. We see quite a bit.
Of her?
Of Valentina and Mel.
It's normally like a quick cutaway though. It never lasts long.
I guess I just enjoyed how much we got of her. Because she's the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And we've seen her in so many projects.
Oh yeah. Actually, on that point, thank fuck we actually got to see this character because she just kept showing up and stuff. Very much like a Mrs. Flood.
Oh, good God. For all them Doctor Who fans, that's a Doctor Who reference.
Mrs. Flood, Missy, who the fuck, Susan Twist from last season.
Yep.
She's one of those characters that just like shows up. It was like they were trying to do like a modern like Nick Fury.
Yes. Evil.
Yeah, but it felt like talking about those appearances. At the beginning of Phase 4, the MCU kind of had a direction and where they wanted to go with things, and then it just got lost somewhere because she showed up in like 3 projects back to back.
Yeah, so she first showed up in the Winter Soldier, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
She was in Wakanda Forever. Yeah, they have that plotline where they're getting divorced.
Him and her.
Martin Freeman and her.
I don't remember this
That's
at all.
hilarious. And she's just doing like evil government stuff at that point. She shows up at the end of Hawkeye.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
To get Florence Pugh. Maybe she's in another thing as well.
Yeah, she just kept like showing up and then silence.
Yeah, and
Until this point.
yeah.
Where we get some sort of... Yeah, we really get to see her character like shine.
I agree.
She's never as goofy in those ones though, is she? Like in this, she's very over the top.
No, I think she is in those because she's playing this like, I'm smarmy, like that's her character. I yeah. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed Mel as well. I like that actress.
Yeah. Very Gen Z.
Very Gen Z. She weirdly, I think, is given too much to not be something in the future.
Oh, sure. Like they could bring her back as like an agent in one of the task forces that exist now.
Sure.
Shield doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's not Shield.
Sword exists.
Sword, yeah.
But has it been used since?
No.
Which is ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Sorry, the Marvels.
Oh, they did show up in the Marvels.
Yeah. Nick Fury now.
I just find it weird that we've not got
More
some
of that.
sort of agency in the background.
That's what's weird about this. I think I'm glad the pieces are starting to come together, especially at the end of this. Too quickly. And it's weird because we have so many pieces, and you wonder if they just streamlined it a little, and there was like one government agency that was headed by Valentina the entire time, or like
they're definitely going to be chopping things out.
Absolutely, there's stuff that's not going to get resolved.
Yeah, Midnight, for example. That's obviously just done, unless they choose to bring it back after we've done like Secret Wars and shit.
Are you excited? We'll go back to the movie, but like, are you excited to see this cast of characters in Avengers now? Like, yeah, okay.
I actually am. Yeah. I think they did a good job.
Yeah, so do I. And all it takes is one movie.
Yeah.
How mental's that? Like,
I don't think it is that crazy. I think I've always known since Guardians that it was possible
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And there's like a lot of like naysaying of like it's not possible for them to do that in Avengers. I think it is possible. I just think it's very difficult, and it also shouldn't be the reality that we're in. It shouldn't be the case that they have to do that.
Yeah.
Because they should have good enough films for each of these characters that you actually like enjoy. Think the film's a good quality.
Yeah.
Develops the characters enough, and then perhaps bring them together like slowly.
Yeah.
By having the cameos that we're kind of dissing, but like in an intelligent way that's not just having them as cameos.
Mm-hmm.
Before you get to the point where you're like, ah, shit, we need to like start putting teams together, like the year before we do the big one.
Yes.
Because it's like, yeah, it's possible. But
speaking of that, the post-credit scene where we find out this wasn't shot by Jake Schreier. This was shot, as he said, on a production of something that might be shooting now. Which is maybe why it looks a little weird. Why, like, Hannah John Kamen's hair's fucking bizarre and you spotted Bucky's hair thinking it was weird.
The scene looks very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That apparently was shot, I'm guessing, on the set of Avengers Doomsday. But we were kind of talking. I also hate that they revealed basically what that post-credit scene was, because I fucking eagle-eyed was like, why is the Fantastic Four theme tune in the music credits? And you were like, oh, it's probably the IMAX thing that was at the start.
Is that what that theme was at the end?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But the post-credit scene, I guess if anybody's listened to this that hasn't seen it, Fantastic Four comes in. The Thunderbolts are the new Avengers now. I think the more interesting thing about that scene, upon reflecting on it and listening to TikToks, is the fact that they have an argument about the name, like the copyright, with Sam.
Yeah.
Which means Sam, in the 14 months, has formed an Avengers.
Or is forming one.
Or that, I guess, and that's where the name dispute's happening, like, in current time. And it's, like, who's part of that team? Like, that's what I'm curious about. Because this has happened, like, snap, and it's happened. Does that mean that the Avengers is just going to start and, like, there's a team?
Oh, sure.
Because that's weird that Fantastic Four just getting introduced at one movie prior. This new Avengers has just been introduced. And then this the Avengers will be introduced in that movie. There's no team that's been there for, like, more than a movie.
Yeah, who's the core of the Avengers film going to be?
So I was curious about this. What do you think?
Because like we now have a team that's put together. I don't think these should be the core of the Avengers film. I think it would be weird if they were.
Oh, absolutely. I don't foresee that.
Because they're the new Avengers.
Yeah. Do you think they keep that title?
I think they will.
Yeah.
Because I think it's funny if they do.
And do you think we then get a project that's the new Avengers, which is a sequel to this?
I think that would be fun.
Cool.
In terms of like, right, Fantastic Four are crashing.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably going to be like the start of the new Avengers film.
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
Which means that we know where these two teams are now. If we're doing the normal Avengers with Sam, like you said, either we have to start with a bunch of them, or he's going to be putting together a team at the start of the film.
Yeah.
Which is, I think both decisions are really weird.
Yeah. And it's... I might be completely wrong on this. Apparently Marvel has a November slot of this year, but nothing has taken that place. And also, I feel like people would have heard about productions going on.
So they could just drop a film.
But if they have managed to film, say, a Young Avengers or something without anybody knowing in the industry and none of that leaking, I find that very, very weird. Yeah. I do not think that's possible. But then, if there isn't in between, because I think it goes Fantastic Four and then Doomsday, there's nothing in between.
I don't know that's kind of crazy.
That's mental.
I think it would be interesting if at the end of the Fantastic Four film, we get them changing dimensions in the ship or whatever, and then their post credits is them crashing, and then we were to see the other Avengers team like picking them up or something. So you'd at least get like a little bit beforehand of like what some of this team might be.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting. I think it'd be an interesting way of doing post credits. For as a one off, it's like a little short snippet, like continuation
of the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get to reach to that point.
Yeah. I asked you that. I have two questions.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this first. I asked you this prior, but like that kind of spoiling, in air quotes, the end of Fantastic Four. How do you feel about that?
I said it didn't bother me. I think it didn't bother me because it was you. I think just went. Their dimension's fucked.
Yeah.
You
like prior to this movie.
Yeah, you said it months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, do you think? I mean, it's got Galactus in it. And now that I had to sit through the Fantastic Four trailer before Thunderbolts that I hadn't watched, and I know the entire plot of the film, like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
As someone who cares about spoilers, like, also, like, I guess we know the end point, we just don't know how they got there.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Yeah, and maybe as you say, I thought it was obvious what was going to happen because they're just simply for the fact that they're not on the same Earth as our MCU, and they're in a movie that's going to be taking place on our Earth.
Yeah. I think the obvious assumption is that, like, their dimension's going to die or whatever. Would be interesting if it didn't. It'd be subversive
actually,
if it
very
didn't.
very interesting if it didn't.
Yeah.
And they just travel.
Or like they fall into somewhere.
Oh, cool.
Or like.
Oh, cool! Because it is a spaceship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like they literally. I mean, the whole thing with Fantastic Four, I feel like is they go to space a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like yeah, that could be interesting. It could be interesting if they were like. No, actually, that wouldn't be interesting. As a as a season finale of a TV show or something, it'd be interesting if they were in the middle of a fight and then went through the portal and it's like, oh, we're just somewhere else now.
Weird. Yeah.
As a film, I don't think that would work.
Yeah, because
you don't get resolution.
Yeah. And then the other question: who do you want to be a part of Sam's Avengers?
Off the top of my head, I actually don't know.
Really?
In my mind, and we spoke about this before, it's Sam and Captain Marvel co-leading the Avengers. Mm-hmm. Who do we even... Shang-Chi, bring him back for the love of God.
Yeah. Can I pick up on the Captain Marvel thing?
Yeah.
Because the last we saw of her, she crash landed back on Earth with Kamala because Monica's just like lost.
Oh yeah.
To like a different dimension. So I don't think it's. I know that happened so long ago, but maybe in universe that happened at a similar time to Brave New World, and she seeks out Sam, and Kamala's there, and they go and they try to find Monica, and that's what they're doing.
And that would explain how they find the X-Men that are going to be in the Doomsday film.
Because I won't spoil it. There's an update on where Miss Marvel is in Daredevil. That's just like a line that makes me think that she could be employing somebody else. Actually, wait. What? It's the end of the Marvels, no? She goes to Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
Is that in New York? That is in New York.
I think she is in New York, yeah.
Okay. So that you could have Sam and... Or maybe Sam and Captain Marvel are doing their own things and they combine, and Kamala's like the agent of at least one of them and going around collecting.
Oh, Spider-Man has to be in it somehow. One of the Avengers films. If he's not in either of them, I think that's insane.
Why
Have you heard the rumours about?
The rumours about
Actually,
what?
you know what? Knowing the date, the time of year we're in, it honestly could have been an April Fool's thing.
Oh, what was it?
It was like a whole thing of Spider-Man. They couldn't get Tom Holland because of the Odyssey, so it was that they were just going to have him voice Spider-Man. So he was going to mask
absolutely not. No way. There's no way they're doing that.
The only thing is that it would make sense if he was trying to keep his identity like completely hidden, because like no one knows who he is anyway. So he's just like, why would it matter for him to?
I don't think he's in New York at the moment.
Where the fuck is he?
Well, look, they have to. Something happens in Daredevil. Something happens in this, like a massive New York attack thing. I feel like there's another New York. Anyway, I feel like he would show up or like have something going on.
Sorry, in this film, you wouldn't know that he showed up. He'd swing into a shadow and disappear.
I think that's what's really funny about this, is that most of New York has just re-experienced their like greatest trauma, and it's never going to get brought up again because we've done a time jump.
Yeah, but also like this one was so brief.
Hey, but You just feel like in some sort of show or something, you'd have people at a bar being like, "Oh, that time when we both like turned into shadows and like relived our greatest traumas, that was fucked."
Talk about like such a stylistic choice as well though, like how good
shadows.
that looks. Yeah,
So good.
because I was confused about that when Yelena was first in that room at the start and there was like shadows behind her. I was like, I know we're going to get this answer, but like, what is it? And then we do.
I like as well cinematography, guys, at the start where Yelena's doing that top-down corridor fight, and it looks like she's just fighting shadows with the voiceover of her also being like, "There's this void inside me. I feel nothing." Like, just little bits like that. In any other movie, you'd be like, okay, but like in a Marvel movie, you're like, oh my god, a degree of like thinking behind the cinematography. Wow. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna form that team.
Is this the other question that you were going to ask me?
Is the team? Yeah, I just don't, because like they're not connected enough. Sam's not gonna be like, "Hey, She-Hulk, you don't know me, but like,
yeah, weird
big
she
threat.
show
Come
up.
on."
I feel like she needs to show up. No, as in when I'm saying these people need to show up, I don't think they necessarily will. But I feel like to have a connected universe, these people needed to show up.
Yeah.
Like we did projects for a reason, guys.
There's so many though. There was way too many characters, and it was not streamlined enough. Do you have faith moving forward with this?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, yeah.
Like we had a good project. I feel that sets you off when people say that when we're talking about the MCU. We had a good project, and you're like, but there was a good one just there.
Well, it's because people's like memory's so short now, and like
Actually,
spans.
on that point, I don't necessarily think it is that. I think it's the fact that like the MCU was big, but for some reason when Endgame was coming out, people that didn't watch it decided to catch up. So everyone's seen the MCU up until Endgame. And not everyone's seen every project afterwards. So they've seen like a bad one, and then they see a good one. Like the MCU is so bad, guys, because like not everyone's watching everything all the time.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about, even just from a movie's point of view. That like somebody saw. Oh God, I can't even remember what was before Deadpool and Wolverine. Wakanda Forever.
Shit. Ant-Man
and the Wasp: Quantumania, maybe. Yeah, maybe that was it. Actually.
Also, I just want to be clear, I like Wakanda Forever a lot.
It was the Marvels. I also, yeah.
And we also like the Marvels.
Yeah, when the Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts. So, in the general public consensus, actually, this is fascinating. It went Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm just saying like general opinions, bad. Guardians 3, good. Marvel's bad. Deadpool and Wolverine, good. Brave New World, bad. Thunderbolts, good.
Yeah, it's a hit and then a
So
miss.
like if somebody is only watching movies and they're looking at black and white opinions, then yeah, maybe.
The MCU is so back.
Stamp it on the podcast. Yeah, sorry, I guess I moved away from the Thunderbolts quite a lot.
No, it's still in conversation.
I wanted to talk about specifically the fight scene at the start, the first fight scene in the bunker. Mm-hmm. One of the best shot fight scenes, I think, since Endgame.
Really? I do remember sitting there and being like, oh, this is well shot. But...
Yeah. And just like fight choreography, the way it was shot, like I felt like you could tell the positionings of every character.
Yeah,
and I think they struggle with that a lot. That was great, where the knife like bounces off and then they catch it.
Yeah.
Just like little bits and bobs, it was great. The score was banging at that point. That's when the xylophone was going off. And also, fucking shocked me. We called it prior. We were like, Taskmaster's dying. Like, she's not making it through. Spoilers. She's not in the promo. We're here, baby. I did not expect her to get shot in the head immediately.
So quick. And then for a second I was like, oh, this film's got stakes. And then I was like, oh no, we knew this was going to be one character that went.
Yep. Thought the same thing. The only other time I was like, oh, is when
the kid
Sentry that.
That's what I mean with David Harbour's character. He's so caring. Like he's such a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she gets nuked.
Speaking of him, I thought he was going to die. Like, he was the only other person when Sentry launches him out a window. I was like, oh, he's gone.
I love how That scene's great in terms of, like I said, I don't think that film, that scene looks great. Not necessarily in the way it's shot, but in the way that the CGI looks. And I think the most interesting thing about that scene is him getting used to his powers and learning how much he can do.
Yeah.
And when he fires him out the window, Red Guardian, and then just chooses to bring him back, he's like, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah. He plays a lot on his face.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and now that, and oh, I can do this now. What the?
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good. So speaking about that girl moment, there was like audible gasps in the cinema when that girl blanked. And I don't know if you felt this way, but prior to it, I was like, oh, this is goofy. I didn't quite like it because they have this moment that I think is great actually, where it's just a single bit of rubble and like 6 of them are having to like press to like flip it over. And it flips over and the dust appears and they're like standing in kind of like goofy superhero poses. And I thought, oh, that's great. And then it cuts to this girl and things gonna fall on her. And he like does another rubble thing.
And it perfectly splits in 2
yeah,
pieces.
I was like, I don't think we need it. And then she disappears.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. You got me good there.
Yeah, they really subvert your expectations there. Because you think that Sentry is doing like coordinated attacks on people.
Yes, yeah.
And then...
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Horrifying, really.
Truly horrifying.
Yeah.
That entire ending sequence, I think, is so cool. I love how it's not necessarily how it's shot, how it's like produced. I guess like it felt like sets, like in their brain was sets.
Yeah, because Yelena runs to that wall and it is just
a wall.
Yeah, painting. And then when you get to the chicken scene, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
They make that. It's the smallest set you've ever seen because they just have like a picture of a street behind the chicken. Perfect.
What's the line Bob says where he's like, I was on meth.
As he's getting pushed into the door.
Yeah. Really good. Speaking of him a little bit more now, I think he's phenomenal. The way he like plays a depressed guy. That I think he has a line in the movie where he's like, I ping pong between like having really high moments and then really low moments.
Yeah, he does say that, and then they confirm it when they're talking about the medical trials. They're like, oh, this is maybe not the best guy to have given all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so they hinted at it quite well. They build up to it. And then, because he's like, oh yeah, I have like really high lows, but I have really high highs, but then like really long lows or deep lows. And he says that to Yelena, I think. And then when they were talking about him in the medical trials, they're like, yeah, he has like delusions of grandeur. And then I can't remember what they say for the other side. So it's like they've bigged it up even more when they describe it.
Yeah.
And then when you finally see it, you're like, oh, wow. Like this superhero depressed version of him is just like a demon.
Yeah. The way he looked was phenomenal as well. Love that. I was just really impressed with the way that they grounded and cemented it in him and Yelena's relationship. I thought it didn't take a lot for the pair of them to have like something between them. Like I think it was like a single kind of conversational scene in the bunker bit
when they escape the room.
Yeah and that's all it really took. And I like the way that this just wraps up. It's so refreshing. I know some people will have laughed at it. I think we had a friend who laughed at it, but like them hugging him at the end, like it looking like they're like trying to pull him off him, but it turning into a hug. I liked it.
No, I liked it too. I thought it was the bit afterwards is funny where it's like, what happened?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, fucking hell, like we've just been through this whole thing, and like this guy does not remember.
Yeah, and in the post credit where he's like, yeah, I can't let that guy out.
Yeah.
Like he's just aware from other people what he does. Great.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that we end this movie and both the villains are like around and they're still a part of the new Avengers.
Valentina
and Bob. And
Interesting.
I'm interested to see how they use and utilize Bob going forward.
Yeah, you can just release Bob. Is Bob gonna like save?
Could you imagine
the world, the
Bob.
universes?
I genuinely, I think he'll be there for a second, and then I think they don't utilize him because he hasn't controlled his powers yet.
But I'm thinking like things get so bad that they're like, you need to release the dark side.
I just don't think they're gonna use him. I think they're gonna. He's too powerful, in the same way that Gaia is too powerful. Like, you can't have either of those characters.
But Gaia's too powerful in like a really stupid way.
Stupid, yeah, dumb.
Whereas he's too powerful in the way that like Captain Marvel was too powerful. Where they just couldn't have Captain Marvel up until that point in Endgame.
Well, what are they gonna do with her then, though? Do you think she's like nerfed as well?
Ah, good point.
Because she's like around. We think. I guess she wasn't confirmed in the castings. Weirdly.
I don't know, like, we saw her in the Marvels. She always holds back, though, I think. It's just, obviously she wouldn't when it came to Thanos, and that's why they had to write her in a way that's like, oh, she's just not around.
I was going to say, yeah, the fucking chairs. We've seen people who are going to be in it. Nobody else would have been on Sam's Avengers, would they have?
Probably not.
That's weird.
Is Sam's Avengers just Sam? Is that
Sam,
gonna be like a
it's
running
just
joke?
Sam. Actually, that'd be so funny. He's sitting all pissy, like, I own the copyright.
Yeah.
It's just me. No, that's interesting.
Him and Bucky on different teams is fun as
I
well.
thought that as well, yeah. Do you have any more thoughts about the Thunderbolts?
No, I don't.
No, I think that's me as well. I enjoyed it. I do want to see it again to see how I feel as a whole.
I think it's got more rewatchability than like Deadpool Wolverine.
I'm just wondering if it flows a little more. Yeah.
You didn't think it flowed well?
Again, there's bits that I found clunky, and I just wonder if that's just how I felt. We both had the same reaction though. See when the Marvel Studios logo plays at the start of this? You went, yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I'm sold. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because it was in like 3D.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It's like you're in the hallway.
Yeah. And it was so different as well. It was like a different Marvel Studios. It was like slower and comic-y, and then it drained to black. Yeah.
We're
so
so back.
sold. We're so back. I have a little game for you.
I thought we did the thought experiment. I thought it was putting the Avengers together.
No, that wasn't it. I'm going to play a game of this or that for you.
Alright.
I was going to do the Phase 5 movies.
Wait, this or that is choosing between the two things, right? Until we get to the last.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I might do the Phase 5 and the Phase 4 movies.
Okay.
Just the movies, yeah?
Yeah, just the movies.
Just the movies. Okay.
Fuck.
You ready?
No, I'm really not.
Okay, Owen, so this or that.
I probably shouldn't explain myself. I should probably just like jump through them. Because it's funnier.
We'll see what you end up with, and then you can go back and you can clarify if you want.
Maybe.
Okay, so this or that one. Black Widow or Shang-Chi?
Wait, Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi or Eternals?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi or Spider-Man No Way Home?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man No Way Home or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man No Way Home or Thor Love and Thunder?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man No Way Home or Wakanda Forever?
Spider-Man.
God, is it going to end on Spider-Man? Spider-Man No Way Home or Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man No Way Home or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Oh. I'll go Guardians.
Guardians Volume 3 or The Marvels?
Guardians.
Guardians Volume 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine?
Guardians.
Guardians Volume 3 or Captain America Brave New World?
Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 or Thunderbolts?
Guardians.
Nice. So, you think the best movie that they have made post-Endgame?
Gotta be Guardians.
I
I think it
Guardians
must
3.
be. Actually, like, now that you've ran through all those films, I think Guardians, Thunderbolts, and Spider-Man are like top 3.
Oh, right, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, would I agree with you? Spider-Man's there. No, I disagree slightly.
What's top 3?
I would say Guardians. I'd say Spider-Man. I'd say Wakanda Forever I enjoy more than this. Cool. And I would also say Shang-Chi, I think.
Cool.
The weird thing about Shang-Chi is if that just had a different third act, I would be so... I'd be saying that without question.
Yeah.
The third act in this I love.
Did we just name like the 5 strongest films?
Post Endgame.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so.
Because like I guess Deadpool Wolverine as well, but that is very nostalgia.
Having rewatched it as well, I think it's
Rewatchability is just like just doing nostalgia. It's still fun though. It's
It
like a
is
really fun film.
The energy, we were in just such a good scenario for watching that the first time that we left on like a fucking high. We were in a like cinema in Madrid, and my god, the Spanish cinema that we were in, they were the rowdiest people. There's a line where X23, what's her name, Lara,
Yeah.
when she like swears in Spanish, and the entire cinema like popped off. It's fucking brilliant. We left, our friend was like 5 stars.
I think the 5 that you named are the top.
I agree.
And probably the only like solid films to have come out.
Yeah, because what are the other ones that wouldn't be there?
Love and Thunder,
Black Widow,
Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man and the fucking whatever,
Eternals.
Like all of them are really like messy.
Yeah. It pisses me off every time I hear fucking Multiverse of Madness because I want to like that movie.
I think I do like Multiverse of Madness.
I do, I wish I loved it.
Yeah.
Character assassination at its fucking finest. My god. Anyway, that was our Marvel segment.
There's a long Marvel segment.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do Doctor Who.
Ooh.
Because I think I'd just rather not spend a ton of time on Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, Owen.
Episode 4, we had the return of Ruby.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go. I like what they were trying to do, which was kind of just show in the same way that the first episode like was bad, but they have like the incel character.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this did that in a more interesting way actually, because like the character was more realistic, where it's like this fucking chronically online liar, who's just in like that fucking, it's just like a manosphere character.
Yep.
Who has a podcast. Feel called out. But there are like podcasts that are like that, where it's just like, I don't even know how to explain them, but they're in that like manosphere section of the internet.
Andrew Tate types.
Sort of, not a different realm, but in like the same.
Yeah, it's all the, yeah.
And I actually found it really interesting because I feel like it's an interesting commentary on like authority, I think, because you'd expect Doctor Who to be more like questioning of authority, sort of, but this episode was actually very much like listen, and I don't think that's necessarily what I was going for. It was like listen and shut up, but the point I think it was trying to get across is like people just seem to make things up nowadays and not have a healthy dose of skepticism, but have like, are just skeptical of everything. The example I actually thought of when we were watching that, because like the stuff happening in that episode, and with the guy's got the camera on, and he's like stuff gets said or stuff gets shown, and then he just makes it up. He just does like the Donald Trump thing of like moving it away to something else, or like anybody on the internet could do, just like lies about what they've just seen. And it made me think of when we went uptown like months and months ago in Edinburgh for those like, where the fuck they're talking about, and we were going to like the pub, and there was that guy that got beheaded in Cowgate, and we have a friend who was on the street, so we know exactly what happened there. But it happened, and I don't know if you went on the internet afterwards, just nonsense about what had happened. People thought it was like a literal beheading. I swear I read a comment about it being like immigrants and it getting covered up. Stuff about it being not a real head, like a I guess like a Halloween costume kind of prop. Like people just don't believe fact nowadays, and I think that's what that episode was trying to delve into. And so it's like interesting commentary in the same way that like Dot and Bubble was, but the actual execution and the writing was just not there.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think the core is quite interesting. I think it's a topic that isn't necessarily being explored a lot. Anybody who's seen Adolescence that also is dealing with like the manosphere stuff. But I had a slight issue with that, showing that they don't really want to... They're not engaging with the conversation of why that's happening or how it's affecting young people, just that it is.
Yeah.
And I think here... I can't believe I'm comparing this episode Doctor Who to Adolescence there. There's a massive chasm between the quality of these things, but it's also struggling with the same issue of not knowing how to tackle this, just that it is happening. Oh, like, we have to do something about it.
Yeah.
I also think it's very hard to comment on that stuff. I think this is a lot of the times the issues that I run into with Black Mirror, is that it is dealing with a lot of like modern issues and stuff, and it's not tactful in the way it goes about it. So it ends off just feeling like clunky and like force fed kind of in a way. Maybe that's me coming from a perspective of watching this and going, I know this shit's happening.
Yeah.
I have my brain switched on. I know that like if something comes up on my phone or whatever, I know what to avoid, and do you know, I'm just aware of what's happening. And some people maybe aren't.
Yeah, I think Doctor Who, I got two things to say about that. I think Doctor Who has got to a point where it's doing the political commentary in a more force-fed way.
Yeah.
Probably in a way to like educate younger people quicker about the things that are happening. I guess the world's moving quicker or whatever. Or just, you could just say it's in a lazier way. Whatever the reason, that is just how it is now. On the point you're making about that, for example, a lot of that was like, as a podcast, it's like them telling like made up news. It's similar to the propaganda thing in Andor, but Andor does it far better.
My God, yeah.
So I think that's a good comparison to make. It's like, that's how you do it well.
Yeah.
And subtly but still educate people on it, as opposed to Doctor Who doing it in this episode.
You brought up, I think on the podcast maybe like 2 weeks ago, about Doctor Who, you were saying that Russell was like, kids are smarter nowadays.
Yeah.
So the writing needs to elevate because they understand more about the world. Yeah. It has now been a season and a half that we have got of stuff that is trying to be politically relevant that just is not landing at all.
Yeah, it is force fed.
And it's grating me because like any episode that's like, we're dealing with this.
Yeah.
It's not interesting to me. And it's taking away from like the fun, like...
Yeah, I think it was Jodie's era did it first, I think. And
climate change every season.
Like hitting over the head with it, because Russell always did this in his episodes, but it was just more subtle. So Jodie had like the I don't actually, that's disservice to, I'm saying it's Jodie's era. It's Chris Chibnall's writing.
Yes.
Was doing like hitting over the head with like all these political issues. And I thought when Russell was coming back, I was like, oh great, we're going to still have that, but not hitting over the head with it. And it feels like we're back there. It was funny watching the episode and thinking, when the main guy does like the switch up to like the meaner version of himself, I was kind of like, thank God, because he was doing like the Mr. Nice Guy. Like, it explained why his character was written so bad.
I'm your boyfriend.
Yeah, except for the fact that the whole episode was written bad. So it couldn't do the explanation of me like, that's why he was written bad, because his character was still written bad.
Yeah.
Better, I think, but still bad. Overarching.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I also think there's a plot hole in this episode as well.
Which is...
Ruby's walking past a bus stop, and a bus stop glitches and has like alien language on it. Are you telling me that the electrician programmed the fucking bus stop to be all alien?
Was it alien language? I thought it was just like missing pixels or something. I never really...
Even if it was that, no, that doesn't work.
Why not?
It's an electrician isn't fucking hiding in a bush controlling a bus stop.
I don't think that's a plot hole, because like they're a think tank, and I'm assuming they have like a ton of people.
Oh, yeah. We both brought this up in the middle of the episode. There is a point in this episode where it genuinely feels like you are getting assaulted with information.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I said, this is moving too quickly.
You were like, what's happening?
I went, I've zoned out. Like, they're just saying words, and then you said it felt like a recap.
Yeah, it felt like previously on.
Yeah.
Because they literally, and I think it's a downfall of the writing as well, because they go, somebody's been a spy. There's been a spy among us. And they bring up two people's profiles. And one of them's Ruby. And she goes, not me. And then they're like, this guy, he was a criminal. And he's got really bad... He listens to all these man podcasts. Well, you're telling me a government agency did not do a background search on a human being that they're employing? Fuck that.
It's funny that Ruby's one popped up as well. And she was like, you can ignore that one. Get rid of that.
Imagine it was her.
Yeah, I actually honestly think that'd be more interesting than where we're probably going with her character right now.
I hate these 8 episode seasons because we get Ruby in this episode and it's meant to be like, yes, Ruby's back.
We just saw her.
Yeah. Also, she wasn't around enough for us to develop a real lasting relationship with her, because when she's like, the Doctor was my best friend. Like, what?
I think her worst scene for me was them sitting, like having a date or whatever, or getting coffee, and she's like talking about her travels with the Doctor.
Yes.
She's got like a little antidote that she always carries around because she's not communicating with the Doctor.
Yes.
So she just has a spare.
That bugged me as well, but I just was like, writing.
Honestly, it was like half drank, and I was like, is that just the initial one that she already had a sip
I thought it was
of?
a different colour than the initial one as well.
No, they were both orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels completely inauthentic. So they didn't have this lasting relationship as far as we were aware.
From what we saw, yeah.
From what we saw.
Because at the start of the episode, we saw like another travel of theirs that we never got to see.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I guess stuff did happen, but it never felt like they had that relationship. And then it bugs me that we got her in this episode because it takes away from an episode from Belinda. And it's not as if Ruby had this great relationship with the Doctor that I was clamouring to get back to. It just felt like, I just, nothing against the actress. Maybe she's good in other stuff. I think she's genuinely dreadful in this episode. I think to maybe move it away from her, I think across the board, most people are awful in this episode. I even think Jonah Bauer King.
Are you going to say, is this Kate?
No, that's the guy, the boyfriend. I thought he was awful.
Oh,
I genuinely think
everybody's
given.
I think he's worse than her.
Than Ruby.
Yeah. Because I actually don't think she's that bad in this episode.
Oh my god.
At least in the last half. I think...
I agree. When she's in unit, I think she's good.
I think it's the... For me, and I think it comes down to the writing, to be honest, because it always happens in like Doctor Who, especially the Sarah Jane Adventures. They're like, I travelled with the Doctor and I had all this time, and you're like, there's no way of doing it without the actor just sitting there being all joyful about it. And I think that's when she was at her worst, was when there wasn't much of a performance to give except like tell a story.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she's written particularly well. I think because they don't understand who the fuck she is as a character. Like I was saying about the previous season, who the fuck is Ruby? They don't know, and in this episode, they don't know.
Yeah.
And you're right, she becomes like an expository machine, and that dialogue is not interesting, and I don't think her performance is doing anything to elevate it, shall we say.
Yeah, sure. I think that's it. I don't think she necessarily has like a bad performance, but she's not experienced enough to be able to elevate the performance.
Yeah.
Elevate the writing with her performance.
Yeah. So she ends up just being like this blank. What did you learn about Ruby in this episode? Why did we need her? She misses the Doctor, apparently, because she's never really cared that much until something goes wrong, as far as we're aware. Nothing. Like, I don't want to go back and see her. Like, she ends up being like, I think I need to go away and go somewhere like solo for a bit.
Yeah, hopefully they do some off-screen development. That's not good, but it's better to have her in a different position, I think, the next time that we see her. Like, have her doing something. Again, actually, yeah, to that point, remember when we watched season 1, we were like, what's Ruby's job? Like, what does Ruby do?
Shit like that, yeah.
And we're at the same point right now. Does she work for Unit?
So, don't know.
Like, we just don't know her. It's weird, because, like, she's the companion that we know about her family. Like, we know where she lives and things.
Yes.
But we don't know what she, like, does in her free time. When you got introduced to Rose, you had her mum, her boyfriend. So it's, like, home life, what she's getting up to socially. They talk about friends. Like, they would just, like, just regular conversations that people would have about talking about other people in their lives and things. And then you also, the first thing you see is where she works.
Yeah.
And you just got regular stuff. There's like a scene at the end of season 1 where like her, Mickey, and their mum are sitting in a fish and chip shop. Just like people going about their lives.
Little bits like that, yeah. It adds so much colour to the world. Whereas you're right. You don't know who she is.
Like they went to a pub in this episode. I feel like they just keep showing pubs and bars in this version of Doctor Who. I don't think we've been to many places.
You're so right. Martha, at the end of episode 1 of her season, they're at a pub. Like, that's what she's trying to get back to. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And also, you don't go in.
Yeah, it's just all
It's just like outside.
The BBC shan't show that in 2007.
How dare they? Alcohol? Yeah, this just sucked. This like sucked really bad.
I think I enjoyed it more than episode 1
of this season.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Episode 1 was really cheesy, and I think had less to say about the manosphere.
I like the robot.
Yeah, me too. That was the highlight of that episode.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, the whole like Doctor coming back to that guy's cell and being like, "You're gonna rot away in prison." Like, I don't think we needed that. I don't know. Have you met Belinda yet? Then not address that, and also why the fuck does that matter?
I'm wondering if it is gonna matter.
Well, I think
like
it's
him hearing that name,
Belinda.
and that's why he goes and finds out who she is. Like another fucking grandfather paradox now.
That's pointless. What's the point in that? Bad.
I just hope we don't see that guy again, because they've set him up to come back as like a villain.
Yeah, I think we will, because Mrs. Flood's gonna let him out, and he's gonna. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he's like somehow the cause of the end of the world. Like they do something like, I don't know. We had 2 good episodes, and this one's just like really fucking plummeted me back down.
It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, Ruby.
Imagine that being whole seasons.
Why did it snow? Huh?
Anyway, Andor.
No, I swear that needs to be addressed.
I know.
Don't worry, Russell says it's all gonna wrap up nice. Fuck off.
Anyway, the show's dead.
Well, as Mrs. Flood said, come May whatever, bye Doctor Who. So enjoy the show while it's on.
It's fine. I'll bring it back and I'll be stronger.
Don't worry, there'll be a spin-off beforehand.
Oh, that's weird. If Doctor Who gets cancelled,
yeah, we get a spin-off. Yeah. Andor. Something a little better, shall we say? Yeah, we're going to talk about Andor episode 46. Because this is so vast and stuff, I don't know how you want to tackle this. I kind of thought what we did last week kind of worked.
Do we do arcs? Because I feel like they're more murky this time.
They are more murky. I've written down arcs and like grouped them.
Right.
And I guess I'll ask how you feel. Maybe top level thoughts first of all on this arc. What you thought. Also, spoilers again. We spoil TV, so spoilers for these episodes.
I enjoyed it. I don't have anything to say that's like there's nothing that like wowed me. I think it is just us like just kind of moving forward. There's no like I think when we had the last ones, I think the point in that was trying to get you like hyped up for it was like the pilot.
Yeah, sure,
arcs.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we're so back, and these arcs were just kind of like, oh, we're just going.
Yeah.
I feel like they ended in interesting ways, especially with Cassie and Bix. You have like the little endings that are like, oh, I can't wait for the next week, but nothing like thrilled me this time. I think.
How did you feel about the jump as well? Because I think last week we were talking about, oh, maybe
Makes
feel
sense.
weird. Yeah.
I think them going like, oh, we're going to do this thing on Gorman to being on Gorman.
And it's happening.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I think it gives room as well for like Deidre specifically to have set up stuff that we don't need to see the minutiae on how she's playing these people.
No, and it's more interesting.
It's so more interesting.
Find it out slowly.
Yep.
So on that point, on that arc, I guess, specifically Deidre and Cyril, I don't know if that's how you've grouped that up.
Yeah.
Cyril, I actually genuinely had a moment where I was like, is he not defecting, but is he questioning things?
yeah, okay.
And I was like, is that happening? I was like, that seems sort of out of character, but it's been a year, and like maybe he literally hasn't questioned anything up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see that it's just like it's all a game to him, and I was like, oh cool, like he is exactly who we still think he is.
Totally.
But
you feel like you're getting played for like an episode and a half. I felt the exact same way. Also, like, benefit of that time jump, you're like, what is happening in his life? Because he has that call with his mum.
Yeah.
Where like you're like, oh, did he actually leave Deidre? Like, are they no longer together? What's happening? And then you get that scene in like episode 5, middle of episode 5, where he's like, you know, saying all the things that he's done and telling the ISB, I can't remember that guy's name, but like the guy who's in charge of Deidre.
Yeah.
And then he leaves and he's like, if I told you this was the best day of my life, like, would you judge me, or whatever he says? And you're like, oh no, it was just all a ruse. I want to get into his.
I was gonna say, you know before then that it was a ruse, because he like jumps in that call with Deidre and is like, they're doing this.
Yes, yeah. There's still this is why I think he's so interesting though. There is still part of me that's like, are you still playing both sides? And I even leave this arc going, is he, because he's assimilated with the people of Gorman, is he gonna have a moment where he's like, Deidre's kept stuff from him, he's not fully aware of what's actually going on, and he's either gonna get pushed to like,
oh, good point,
he's gonna be pushed to he's gonna break, because either he's assimilated and is cared for the people of that planet, or vindictively being like, why the fuck was I being lied to? Let me join these revolutionaries as an act of defiance against being lied to. Like, I could see him joining them, but in two different ways.
Yeah.
One good, one bad.
But like, either way, there's a path that could lead him to join the rebellion. No, I think his performance is very good in that way.
Brilliant.
Or you're just like, because his performance inside of his character is fantastic. Like him lying to those people, you're like, oh man, like that's really good. Maybe there is a part of him that believes it.
I also love, like, even just looking at him from season 1 to season 2, and also from like previous year to this year, there has been a like swing in his character to like, he's more confident and assertive. He's no longer like meek. I would describe him in the first season as like meek and like hung up on finding this one guy, where he's now like playing the field a little more, and like, yeah, I was really impressed with his performance throughout that entire episode. I guess briefly before we get into the arcs, top level, I really enjoyed this arc. I'm in the exact same boat as you.
Yeah.
Not as strong as the first. Is that because we didn't get extended periods of Mon Mothma? Maybe.
I think so. No fucking bouncing rave club music.
I'm sorry.
End.
Yeah, come on now.
I actually think. Technically, we can include. Do you have it split into 3 or 4 arcs?
I have it split into 4.
Is the 4th?
Oh no, sorry. I have it split into 5.
Okay, one of them is presumably the kid by himself doing like the.
Yes,
that's not all that interesting. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of it just shows more of the stuff that was going on in the rebellion, like the kind of like lower level of the rebellion, where it's all scrappy, in a similar way to like the other one that Cassian was involved in like last week.
Yes.
It's just interesting seeing the different sides, and then like talking back and forth about different parts of the rebellion. Like they talk about Luthen, like he's like this person that's separate from them. Like they're all the rebellion, but there's different factions to them, and it's interesting to see them be like, no, but my way is the right way.
Yeah, my takeaway from like this arc as a whole, because this is so good, I am like giving it more thought on like political implications and whatever. But I took away that this was just like, we're seeing all the different ideas of revolution and where their line is, where everybody's line is.
Sure.
And I find that fascinating on like, even on like the Empire side, and having like Cyril and Deidre, and then maybe having different lines. We'll maybe find that out when a fucking genocide is committed and how Cyril feels about that.
Is this the one that you were talking about in
Yes.
Rebels? So it's not the Grand Moff Tarkin thing.
No, which, my god.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that's new then. That
As far as I'm aware,
just like
I can't remember if that's been brought up
That's
before.
cool. So if I was to run through Rebels really quickly, I'd like be able to like try and overlap.
That's what's mad about this, is that Rebels is occurring at the same time as this.
Yeah, weird. I was thinking that because I was like, this is so murky and grey, and we're in like the politics of everything. And Rebels was like, haha, we're fighting the bad guys. Zoom, zoom. Like, it's like they're two completely
so
different
funny.
shows. I was sitting watching. I was like, this show should be called Star Wars Rebels, but he used that name already.
It absolutely should. You're so right. Yeah, they're fucking blasted about like Chopper's like. Yeah. Meanwhile, you got Druggy over here.
Yeah. You've got the drug addict rebels, and then you've got like the happy-go-lucky ones.
Love it. But in a weird way, I think that plays into like the themes of this arc, of there being like, what's the line? Also, the fact that there has to be bad guys in air quotes on the like revolutionary side.
Do you mean they're just bad people, or they're the plants from the Empire?
Sorry,
Different
no,
kinds of
I mean
bad
like
guys.
maybe bad guys is the wrong word. Like more extremist people.
Yes.
Because without those extremist people, if you look in our history, our world history, and also I think what they're implying in Star Wars as well, without those more extremist people doing what they do, it kind of doesn't kickstart revolutions, and you need these people to kind of cross the line, be villainized within their own communities, to then have the like heroic people step up. I think specifically somebody I don't have written down because I don't think she's given enough as part of this, as part of the arcs. Mon Mothma's storyline in this is very disparate, but I think what she's toying with is like, where is my line, and I'm struggling to not do anything radical, to keep a face, to keep like playing this game.
I mean, she's still trying to do things in politics the right way.
And it's not working.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting as well, where she's I think it's the only scene she gets in the first episode, where she's just going to random politicians who have been on her side before, and suddenly over the course of this year, the propaganda that's been like issued about Gormand has seeped its way into like senators, and now they believe it, and it's people that she had on her side before, or that people that were supporters of Gormand are now just completely flipped because they've been manipulated. I mean, it's fucking fascinating.
She's still, even though we saw so little of her, I think the most interesting character and has the most
Couldn't
interesting
agree more.
arc in the show.
Yep.
Because in a similar way to like, I think Luthen's storyline always interests me so much. It's like the double life, but he does it so well, I think, where he like has like volunteered to do that, where he's like leading this literally two characters. Like he has like two whole personalities that he's like produced for himself, whereas like Mon Mothma is doing it but like reluctantly, where it's like out of necessity, but she's still trying to keep her life together with like a freaking family.
She's two people that are like desperate to split, but she's like holding them together.
Or like a one person that's like split.
Yeah, she's one person that's like trying to split off, but like won't.
Yeah, it's like hard for her to stay together. She's just been stretched thin.
Yeah,
I think.
But I think what's interesting about the show is we are gonna have to see at some point she has to split. And the interesting thing about her is she doesn't get the luxury of Luthen, as far as we're aware, where she gets to maintain her senator life and then also this rebel side.
Yeah,
she's
like
gonna
she
have to
go.
abandon it.
Yeah.
I wonder, does she abandon her family? Like, is it a complete like?
It's just so sad. I'm so interested to see that, and I actually hope it happens in the next arc, because I'd rather see her like then firmly be in the rebellion in the last one, as opposed to like that happens and then we have nothing in between like that and New Hope.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I love that you've kind of said that as well, because she isn't given a lot in this, but like you are just still so invested in her character. Also, she gets great fits. Everybody has great fits in this show.
I love both sides of what they're doing. Is like they're showing that like Star Wars in general shows like the original trilogy, at least shows like the kind of like grubbiness, like it's surface level grubbiness, and then you have like Coruscant and the prequels, which again is like surface level luxury. And I think it's because you're in films where you're dealing with like more like plot and characters than necessarily like their locations and how they spend their lives and traditions and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like in this show, you have them going shopping in like the grubby underground world. I think that's shot in the Barbican. In London.
Yes.
There definitely was a scene where I was like, I recognize the floor tiles. That is the Barbican. And then I saw on like TikTok that someone said it was, and I was like, thank God I was right.
Did you notice another filming location?
Valencia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they go shopping, and it's like it's just like they've built a shop presumably in the Barbican somewhere that they go into, and it's just cool seeing like the underworld, but not like the violent like drug addict side of it. It's just like them going about like their lives, and then you get to see the high life as well with like the traditions, the things that the ornaments that they buy. And then
I love the
them
people
partying.
being let into those parties that hadn't been there before.
Yeah.
Like that Imperial officer who's
Yeah.
like, I've had 3 drinks. Like
That was the funniest thing. Seeing him let loose, because him and Dedra always had like this thing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I've had 3 of them, they're amazing. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw the pillars or whatever, and I was like, is that Valencia? Is that the
Yes,
center?
yeah.
And then they show the front of it, and I'm like, I swear those windows are from it. And then I looked it up, and it did say they were shooting there. And then when they fly away, they show the full side of the
water,
building.
yeah.
And I was like, it is.
It pops up in so many things, and I'm like, yeah, why not? It's so cool.
Literally
so sci-fi.
Looked it up to see if it was shooting there, and it was like, yeah, it's been in Doctor Who, Westworld, and Andor.
Love it.
I was like, cool.
Yeah, I guess that was the top level thoughts I had, just like Revolution stuff. The 4 things that I've split it, or 5, because I think it was quite fun last time to go or least compelling to like most compelling if you want to do the same thing.
Yeah, I might. I'm not as confident about doing it this time though.
Okay, I'll tell you how I've split it up because you might not agree.
Yeah,
as well.
go for it.
Andor and Bix.
Yeah.
And that whole storyline of like,
Which is funny because Andor does fuck off for an episode.
I know,
but they're still kind of
intertwined.
Yeah.
So I have that. I have Luthen and Clea, and I think that's interesting because Luthen does float, kind of what we were saying last week.
Yeah.
He floats between all of them.
Yeah.
I then have Cyril and Deidre, and then also the like Imperial officers in the ISB, kind of that storyline.
Wait, the two
gay guys.
The two,
No, or the one gay guy.
I think they might both. Although she mentioned something about his wife.
Yeah, that's what confused me because they had that whole like take me out for lunch first. So
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
Oh,
wait, so you have Bix and Cassian, Luthen and Clea.
Cyril and Deidre.
Yeah, the 2 Imperial officers.
Cyril and Deidre, 2 Imperial.
They're okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Will as his own thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Vel as her own thing, who is the end. The
Oh,
that's right.
Because but then
because she switches places.
then you're
with
missing out
Cassian.
Mon Mothma.
I don't think Mon Mothma has. That's kind of why I just was like Mon Mothma. She doesn't have enough.
But she'd still be my number 1.
Really?
Yeah, I just think I just find it more interesting.
Okay, if we keep her in, cool. I'll add her.
Like
And then-
every time she shows up, and I might just be like her performance as well.
Absolutely.
Or like knowing the circumstances that she's in, but I'm just more compelled by like whatever's going on in her life.
So I also had here. I was going to ask for your MVP. Would your MVP just be Mon Mothma from this arc? I have a different MVP. If you wanted time to think,
I don't know. I really like Clea in this.
that's who my MVP
Is that
is.
yeah? Because we get to see more of her.
Yeah.
And her being like she has like more of a position of power than I think any of us
Oh,
thought
yeah.
she did. Because Luthen's
I
like,
think she's running Luthen.
do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you fucking told me to put this thing in.
Yeah.
And then we have to take it out. And she's like, well, get it done. And then they're leaving and they're laughing about it. She's like, told you.
I love I think it's episode 5 where Andor, like the title screen's coming up, and it's all the fucking shit she's listening to.
Yeah.
Because they have planted so much, and she's just overwhelmed. Like she can't even pay attention to what's happening, and it's only because the woman comes into the shop later and confirms what she's heard that she's like, "Fuck, this is a thing that I need to get out."
Yeah.
Like this listening device.
Okay. I think Mon Mothma's like in my middle.
Okay, so if we'll go Andor Bix, Luthen Clea, Cyril Deidre Empire, Will Vel and Mon. Do you have a least? I have a least compelling.
Yeah, Will. Yeah.
I
Again, you don't see as much of him as like other characters.
Yes.
But also, it's just not necessarily as interesting.
I do think it's interesting.
As interesting, not.
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
Agreed. But I think it's interesting in this time jump. So we haven't seen the fact, but Luthen has obviously placed him there.
Yep.
To go help Saw.
Yep.
And he's ended up being radicalized. I find Saw great. I don't know how you feel. You have seen most of Clone Wars. You've seen all
I've
of
seen
Clone
all
Wars.
of Clone Wars. Does he show up in like the last season? I can't remember.
I don't think so in the last season.
Does he
I could be
exist?
wrong. He exists quite a bit in the Clone Wars.
Are you sure it's not Rebels?
No, in the Clone Wars.
I
He
thought
has an
that
arc.
character got invented for Rogue One.
No.
Am I losing my mind?
No, he's. I mean, you could look up, but I'm pretty certain he's in Clone Wars. I'm pretty sure he has multiple arcs in Clone Wars. What I was going to say was I don't find him that compelling a character. I think he's more interesting theoretically as a radical splinter cell of like rebels. But I don't. Every time he's shown up, I've never been like, "Oh, this is interesting."
Not in this show. For me, I feel like other points that he's shown up.
Oh, you have found him interesting.
Yeah, I think like or at least it's interesting having a through line of a rebel that we've got to see, because they've created this character that can just be consistent through the shows.
Sure.
Or films or whatever.
I've just never found him compelling. I don't know.
You're right, by the way. His first appearance is A War on Two Fronts in the Clone Wars, 2012.
Nice.
Which is 4 years before Rogue One.
Cool.
Always portrayed by Forrest Whitaker.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I think, though, this is maybe the most that I've been compelled by him.
I was wrong. He's voiced by two different people.
Oh, no way. Really?
Andrew Kashino as well.
Oh.
This is the most you've been compelled by him.
I think so. I like his speech at the end to the guy, which, like, I think is going to radicalize Will.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to stay with them. I like the whole thing of, like, him breathing in that shit because, like, he does it to himself and he's like...
I found it very, like, generic anti-villain.
Yeah. I just thought there was... I don't know. I as I said, I just hadn't been compelled by him previously and I thought this was some sort of something different. Him shooting the guy because it was like, well, you're clearly worse. I only want one engineer, so bye.
Well, did he not go like, he was planted by blah blah blah? Is that not a thing?
So I viewed that as he was just rallying the people around him, being like,
you can't tell.
This is why I done this.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want if the group that he's with finds out that he just shot somebody that's loyal to him, why the fuck would any of them stay around? So it's like, yeah, I think it was fully planted. From there, do you have a
second
least?
Cassian and Vix again, I think.
Sad, isn't it?
Which is unfortunate because both of them have interesting stuff going on.
I agree.
Because she's dealing with all her trauma, and that's how that arc wraps for her, which is lovely. Because now we're going to get to see her back in action, and we've got to see actual members of the rebellion have some sort of trauma.
Yes.
Like that's just not. It just never fucking happens. Like we just keep moving on and just keep going forward, and it's nice to see someone like actually be affected by something.
Mm-hmm. Far after it happened to her as well. I'm glad that it's not rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've jumped a whole year as well, and actually she's worse now.
Yes.
Because it almost happened to her a second time, or she's had like, because the last arc we had that whole thing with the guy.
Mm-hmm. And also the drugs, and also just Coruscant. I think she says like she's not enjoying it.
Yeah.
And if Cassian's fucking off that often, and she's alone in a safe house. Yeah, no wonder she's turned to drugs.
And then Cassian, less interested in Bex's stuff, but he gets to go and do things, so more interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think his conversations are more interesting.
But yeah, it's funny, I was so tired when I was watching episode two of that arc last night. So when I was watching the recap for episode 3 this morning, I was like, oh, this is such interesting stuff. It's just like last night, I was just so like drifting in and out of it.
When he's like, oh, like some revolutionary you are.
Yes.
Him. Like,
like just stuff like that, like back and forth.
Playing into like the larger theme of like, well, Cassian's line is clearly not your line, and now you're judging him for it. Like there's tension there.
Or at least like Cassian doesn't have the skin in the game that this guy does.
Yes, yeah, because I mean, when Cassian has that conversation with Luthen, and Luthen's like, it's speeding up because it needs to speed up. I mean, like this.
Yeah, there's
planet,
no time for that now.
Yeah,
We've got to go. And some point in the first arc, I think Luthen mentioned something about like we can't just sit around anymore.
Yes,
we just have to go.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll get to him. I his like development of urgency, I think, is fascinating.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about Cassian and Bix, to be honest.
I wrote something down. Right. Cassian stuff. I thought his conversation with the hotel staff was really interesting.
Oh, sure.
Where he just like plays him enough to get that guy to open up, and then we hear about that fucking horrific story.
Yeah, everyone thought they were safe. They're also the thing about like all of confusion within the rebellion. There would have been confusion in that crowd.
Yes,
where, like, people would just be walking over to see what was happening. Probably. I mean, I'm not sure exactly about the circumstances.
There's crowd mentality. I think you're completely right.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then,
crazy. And crazy that then Gormand has remained a peaceful planet. Like they say, they built this monument. They're not radical people and stuff. And it's actually what's radicalizing them is the find the word. The like disrespect of them honoring the people. Mm-hmm. So like it's not the act itself, it's the fact that they're trying to honor these people and they're disrespecting it. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. A bad man in like a bad group made a decision that caused a bunch of people to die.
Yeah.
And they managed to overlook that.
Yes.
And move forward. And they've all come back and are like treading on the ground again, building stuff, dishonoring all this, everything around that. And so finally they're like, what is going on here?
Yeah. But then I guess that playing into Deidre's scheme of like trying to radicalize
them. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. So yeah, really enjoyed that scene specifically. And then the whole like not a real revolutionary. I just thought he had a lot of stuff in episode 2 that was like
I love the Gorman stuff. And
same.
And it like it's not just so Cassian's been there, and then you have like I can't remember her name, the other girl. Belle, and then you have like Cyril and stuff. Like all of that's why I was talking about like it's kind of hard to put them in arcs because they kept dipping into like the same locations.
Totally. The big stuff I just wanted to mention because watching the end of episode 3, I was really enjoying it. I think the way that these arcs are happening as well is that episode 3 is just this like culmination of stuff that feels great.
Like that. Yeah.
The very end of episode 3 though, I thought it was so tacked on. Bix just like being in the office and be like, yep, torture, blow it up, end of episode. I was like, the last we saw of the pair of you were just talking about next time Bix is going to get on the...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
However, thinking about it a little bit more, I think it's an interesting decision. I still think it's a little like tacked on. But we see the 2 Imperial officers have a conversation about the Doctor and that like his methods have like been leaked out or whatever, so they want to use his methods more of torture, whatever that was. They've been assigned the Doctor, like the 2 guys.
So there's like more developing in that area, and that's what set her off to go over there.
Well, it's fascinating because I weirdly think all of the setup for her to go away and do that happened kind of off screen. So we first hear it with those 2 Imperial officers. Where my brain is then went is Luthen has found out through his spy, who's one of those Imperial officers. We don't see this. So he learns about Doctor whatever and where he is. Luthen is then informed Bix because the last we see of Luthen and Andor is he's having a conversation with Andor about like the urgency kind of stuff. And Andor's resistant because he cares so much about Bix. So I think Luthen has then went, right, I have this information about the Doctor that's fucking tortured her. Let me go tell her and inform her. Let her do this thing, this act of rebellion that also is going to be gratifying for her to like make amends with what's torturing her in her brain, to then make sure that Cassian is still going to remain on Luthen's side because Cassian's so important to him.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating that all of that just happened off screen. Again, I still think it could have maybe used something to make it not feel tacked on. But I also respect the fact that they're not like, we're going to hold your hand through all of this. Like, Luthen's pulling the strings and you don't necessarily need to be shown that.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you mean, because it happened and I had a moment of, where was like the midpoint between her still struggling with things and just doing it?
Yeah.
Didn't bother me as much. It was like a cool moment.
It was so cool. The shot of her leaving as well. Oh.
And that was spliced in with the tension of the other situations.
Yeah.
I actually think the very last shot I found kind of goofy. Which is the bit that... No, the last shot was the breathing. It was the conversation with Saw Gerrera and stuff right before the credits.
Oh no, that's of episode 5.
Of episode 6.
5. We don't see Saw and Will in 6.
Am I losing my mind? Is that... Oh, right, fair.
It's them blowing up the building.
Oh, so like that was the end of their arc.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were slightly weaker as an arc. Again, interesting what you were saying. It's weird that the show's called Andor and consistently he's like not the most interesting.
Yeah, because season 1 was his season.
Yes.
And now they've developed so many characters up to the point where like we're seeing more of them now.
I'd rather them do this though. This is
not.
Oh,
me too. I don't want to like dwell on someone that
Nope.
doesn't have as much of a story as other people who we cover next.
So you said Will and then you said Andor and Bix.
Yeah.
I think I would have Vel in between them.
I probably would too. I just keep forgetting about her because
perfect
they've been so light-handed with her character.
Yeah.
And Vara Sethu's character as well.
Can't remember her name.
Midwife Belinda Chandra. Miss Belinda Chandra.
No, not Miss. No, I enjoyed their arc. Very cool that they have confirmed that queer people exist in Star Wars without them being background characters.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
I was fully making out and I was like, oh,
wow. Disney, congrats.
Good job, guys.
So yeah, I know that's a tiny little thing, but I think that actually makes a lot of difference for representation of people seeing people. So I don't know. I enjoyed the idea that I took away. Maybe I missed something. Was that she was placed there because she was like willing to do it, and Andor probably wasn't.
That's what I took away.
Okay.
Was well, I was sitting there. I wasn't sure if it was either they were all getting sent there, or if Cassian was getting sent, and when he refused, then she got sent. I wasn't sure which one it was, but it was obvious, and either way that it was Luthen that placed them there because they're all like Luthen's puppets, essentially. Yeah, it was just interesting to see them doing organized rebellion work.
Yes.
Where like she's like, I've done this before, this is the plan, this is what you're doing. But Dedra's picked the ragtag team where she knows that they're inexperienced enough that things aren't going to go well. Obviously she doesn't know exactly how it's not going to go well. And in this circumstance it was the guy that took the gun when he was told not to take a gun.
Yeah. That whole idea of, I don't know if you felt this way, but when they were in that like war room, it felt quite Empire-y, where she's like, if you can't follow orders, like we're not doing this. Like good soldiers follow orders kind of thing.
But like necessary.
But I think that's speaking to the larger fact that when they're all kind of episode the first arc, the infighting doesn't get people anywhere, and people have to rise and actually follow some sort of chain of command for things to start.
Yeah.
And then obviously when people refuse to like listen, I don't know if you felt this way. I think the way that they got to her getting shot was slightly
The whole thing of like him being like, no, this isn't for you.
And it's a guy we saw who was
we saw before who would want to be part of the rebellion, and then them properly starting to fight, and to the point where he wants to pull the trigger.
Yes.
And then, but he also helps take her back, and he's like, I'll be the one to pick her up. It just becomes this weird thing of like, presumably these guys they're not in two different worlds where they're against each other. It's just purely like ego or something. Like he didn't want this other guy being like involved. Like,
yeah,
I get the point was to keep the team smaller, but like, or to keep not to keep teams smaller, but like the same way that they turned the old woman away,
Mm-hmm.
like less witnesses are better.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy was going to push his way through anyway. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird that. It's weird the word fighting that they had to eventually get her shot. Admittedly, I thought that character was going to die, but not in that scenario. So like the person they fired, and I was like, I wonder who got shot. Like I actually got shocked when they turned her over, and it was fair to say too.
I thought Vel was getting killed because you have like so many red herrings, I guess, of hinting that she's going to be killed, and then Mon being like, "Where's my cousin? I haven't spoke to my cousin in a while." I was like, "Oh." So I'm still shocked, but I think it was just kind of what we're getting at. It's just odd the way it came about. So then we have. Then I would put Mon because I think the other two arcs are far strong.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think any more to say. Just she's fucking phenomenal.
She's just great. Give us Mon Mothma. Actually, don't, because I feel like we're just end up dragging things out.
Yeah.
Just make sure her last two arcs.
I agree.
Kick ass.
Yeah.
And then we're done.
I hope so. I think they primed her up now to have like 2 solid arcs again. Then I would say Cyril and Deidre.
And then who's the last one?
Luthen and Clea.
Yeah, probably. I don't know where I'd put them both, to be honest. It's weird because I think maybe Luthen and Clea had the more interesting one, but like got less time.
I agree. I think
I really like seeing Cyril.
Cyril's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we don't need to necessarily rank. That's how I'd rank, but whatever. We can just speak about them. Cyril and Deidre.
Yeah.
I guess we've spoken about this already. I wrote something down. I was like, his mum's been Fox Newsed because she starts talking about Gormand as if it's like this horrible, like, what did she say? Like, we used to wear Gormand like fabrics and now we don't.
Yeah.
Like, Deidre's shit is like infiltrated Coruscant so well, like. And
that was the point.
That was the point, yeah. But it's fascinating that like we don't need to have had that our hands held throughout any of that.
Yeah, they went, we're going to do this thing, and then they went.
They do it. Yeah.
They went, this is how the thing went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, and I guess we spoke about this, but I wrote down about how I can't tell if he's broken. Or will he break, or what's he gonna break for? I find him so fascinating.
You've got to do it sooner rather than later, though, right? It'd be weird if they just did it in this last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Or if they're gonna do it like the end of episode 3 and then do a jump or something.
Fascinating if we get to like the next arc and he's like completely different. Like, or this could go for any one of these characters. They're like on a completely different side, or like there's been no setup for what has happened to them, and we like learn about it.
Yeah.
I guess kind of like him in this episode. We don't know why he's there until we do. Yeah, he was fascinating. Deidre. Sorry, I don't know what that noise was.
Yeah, me either.
Deidre's just Deidre. I just like, she's so compelling when she's on screen.
Yeah, we're not getting to see a lot of her, sadly, this season.
Sadly, yeah.
But yeah, she just like owns. I mean, more last arc, but like just kind of like all the scenes that she's in.
Who I found more fascinating was that Imperial guy, the like Imperial spy,
the ginger mustache man. Yeah. Who's split over like these 2 top arcs.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Wow, he's the cohesive like element that makes it all great.
Also, so him and Stellan Skarsgård are both in Chernobyl.
Oh my god, that's where I know him from.
Right.
I was trying to picture.
Yeah, he's one of the. He's like the meek like guy in the power plant.
Yeah.
And then you've got the dad from Friday Night Dinner just like yelling at him, telling him he's doing everything wrong.
What a show.
Yeah.
British actors, man.
Yeah, they're
great.
Here.
Yeah.
What? That's their strongest export.
I mean, yeah. What else?
Iron Brew.
For Scotland, for sure.
I don't think it is that a good export, is it?
Probably not.
I don't think other countries
I don't think people want Iron Brew.
Yeah, I think it's just purely. That's impressive, I think.
National
just
drink
Scottish
just
people that are drinking it, yeah.
Their business model's just Scotland.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember more about Cyril and Deidre's storyline. I don't think they have much.
Just Cyril
else.
just having all the stuff with the Gormans.
Yeah.
Deidre having probably. Did she even have a one-on-one conversation with like the head honcho in the ISB?
I guess at the end when they're like just monitoring Cyril.
Yeah, so it's just it's just when the three of them are together.
And when there's a scene where he's like, you know why you're doing this, Cyril can't know.
Oh,
That's sort of implying
yeah.
that Cyril is being lied to.
Which is interesting. I forgot about that, and I think that could be interesting if he finds out.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, this is really bad, guys."
Well, especially because he is being controlled by her.
Yeah.
In his job, when he gets home. I think that was actually quite funny symbolically as well. Like, he's in the dark on things. Yeah, they're just compelling characters to watch, I guess.
And then Luthen and Claro.
Claro.
Yeah.
God, I love it. Boy, put down that. What's it? What was that noise?
I don't know.
Boy, turn off that Claro and go grab yourself a beer.
Not heard this.
Funny. Yeah, I think Stellan Skarsgård is phenomenal.
Yep, as always.
And I think Clea, I don't know her actress's name, but I think she's also just equally as
really got
compelling.
the shine
She's
in this.
so good. I hope we get more of her.
Yeah, I think we've had like an increase just from season 1, even in the first arc of her.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we saw more of her last 3 episodes, and in this 3,
Yep.
even more, to the point where like whenever we're in the scenes with those two characters, you're focused on what she's doing.
Yep.
And that was like proper. It was nice of them to just build tension the way that they did with her just trying to open up that thing.
Brilliant.
And I thought they were going to do it in a different way where she went, I can't get this, you're going to have to do it, and have them rotate around the thing.
Yeah.
So he would have had to try and listen to get the microphone. I think that would have been, in my opinion, that would have been even more interesting. In terms of just like the physicality of it, trying to hide it, and them pretending to like look and
Play by it, yeah. I like the way that they played it, that like they just kept cutting and then there was more and more blood.
Yep.
Like that's how fucking
And then they
hard
just
she
cut
was.
and they're just like standing there.
I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, I do respect it though, as a like, you are in the dark. You don't know if they've made it or not. Also, Krennic being back again.
Yeah.
Just little bits and bobs of him, great. And I loved the way he was like, oh, I heard this was your favorite piece. And she, to confirm that they were talking about it, she has to look at him.
She's like, go on.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
That to me was like the standout scene of the arc. So good.
Yeah, I feel like this arc has been really like across the board. They've all been quite contained and subtle in the way they've gone about things until like episode 3, where they're like, no, we have the big moments.
Yes, yeah.
I think they'll just keep doing that.
Yeah. And I don't mind it. It plays out like movies. I am viewing these like movies more, especially this season. But yeah, solid. If you're not watching this, don't know why you listen to this,
TV.
but go watch it. Good TV and Doctor Who. Oh, love it.
How dare you?
If anybody, I don't know why anybody would be listening to this segment, but if anybody liked that Doctor Who episode, please comment. I want to know why. Good God.
I think it's question time.
Question time?
Alright. Well, this is a big one.
Oh no.
This is a big question that got sent hours ago. Man, it's 3:30 our time.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
What? Okay, we are getting longer and longer with these.
I thought this would be a long episode. Question is, with the recent revelation that a lot of Academy members don't watch all the films nominated for an Oscar, how does it make you feel that you've seen more films than they have? How do you feel about watching nominated films now being a requirement with the Screeners app and not having been a requirement prior? I'm not been paying attention to this. What about voters saying they will just bypass this by pressing play and switch tabs, mute audio, not actually watch? What else do you think can be done to avoid this? Do you think stricter requirements are needed to join the Academy? when will you two be members? Sorry, I've
So
not
do
picked
you know?
any
Right.
of
Okay.
this.
So, it came out. They normally every year at the Oscars, the Academy, they update stuff about the Oscars categories, voter rules, new members, all this stuff. As part of that, one of the rules came out that Academy members will be required to watch every film nominated in a category to vote in that category. This spawned people to then react and be like, was this not the case prior? You're telling me people could literally just go in, they've seen a movie that they like, and vote for that without having seen the others. Then, I don't know how aware the internet was prior to this. I mean, I knew this, but like if you're a member of the Academy, you have a streaming app for the Academy where all of those movies get uploaded.
Yep.
You also get DVDs, screeners sent to you. They do not make it hard to watch the movies. Any movie that's nominated, if you're an Academy member, you can access it without paying. And often these Academy members have a lot of money anyway, so like fucking paying for a cinema ticket, who gives a shit? So now people came out and they were like, oh, I'm probably still not going to watch them all. I'll just click play, let the movie play, and then come back to it and play the other ones.
This is fucking wild.
Insane, yeah.
I think whoever these people are should have their membership stripped.
I
from
agree.
them.
I completely agree.
I think the only thing that qualifies you to vote for something is to have watched it.
Yep. Yeah, it's nuts. I sometimes think that like, I mean, I'm an Oscar-y person anyway. I do enjoy that.
Really, I didn't know that about you.
Crazy.
This is out of this world.
I know. You learn something new every
Newsflash.
day. But sometimes I like the other awards bodies, like Critics' Choice Awards, or like the voting bodies where it's made up of, like, I guess more so critics or people whose job it is to watch a bunch of stuff and then think critically about it, is maybe more indicative or representative of like an objective truth. There's no such thing, but like an objective winner for categories. This is just sad news. I don't know how you get around it. What, implement fucking eye tracking software? But then people be like, well, I saw them in the cinema. So,
Yeah.
I don't know maybe if that was in response to. I think that was in response to just people wanting to bypass the system. But like, if you do watch them in the cinema, are you required to also play it on the screener app?
Oh, good point.
Like, I don't know.
This is strange.
Yeah, wait, what was the actual like questions?
I think really okay. So with the recent revelation, how does it make you feel that you've seen more films than they have? That's definitely the true in your case, where you will have watched more of the nominees than a lot of people, I guess, that were voting on it.
Sure, at bare minimum, like Best Picture. That's what I'm saying though. Like, if some of them aren't even watching the 10 Best Picture nominees, and you're voting,
Yeah. So how does that make you feel?
angry.
Yeah.
I wonder though if that's like we've ended up with the winners that we have in like previous years.
Huh.
Like, I know for a fact some of these are like, Denis Villeneuve not getting like his acclaim for directing in the Dune movies. I don't want to watch a Dune movie. I don't like that sci-fi fantasy stuff. Oh, that's 3 hours long or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Same thing with like The Brutalist. People maybe not giving Felicity Jones the acclaim that she maybe deserved because they couldn't get past the entire 3.5 hour runtime to see her in the back half. Like, it's just sad. And I feel like the point of those bodies is to have some sort of like integrity.
Yeah.
It's weird though because they've obviously increased the membership recently to make it more diverse though, because it wasn't diverse, and if they hadn't done that, it still would have maintained this like monolithic white old man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not that it isn't that, it still is, but so I don't think like limiting people is necessarily the way. I just think maybe more policing, but I don't know how you go about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know how you go about that. It makes me feel like pissy
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. It makes sense that there should be a requirement. It's weird they weren't a requirement prior.
Totally agree.
Bypassing the system. Fuck those people. What else do you think can be done to avoid this? Don't know how to police this.
No, I don't know.
Smarter people than us, I suppose, to figure it out.
I don't know if you get people to like write, like once they've seen it, that they have to write like a 2-sentence
essay.
review or something. But people would just like forge that.
ChatGPT exists now.
Yeah.
Do you think stricter requirements need to join the academy?
No. Because it's not based on like. It's based on industry.
But what are the requirements?
I can't actually remember what it is now. I knew prior it was like if you had been nominated for an award, you were then let into the academy.
Oh.
But that obviously ended up with like people not being nominated that were diverse. It ended up still making it,
sure.
you know.
But I find it weird that people that were nominated for an award then work in that industry, they properly work in that industry, and then didn't want to watch the films.
That's what's bizarre. I genuinely think the way to go about this is just to fucking tell people, hey, you don't have to vote.
Yeah.
The people who watch all of these and want to have a say, let them vote.
Yeah.
What? Why does like... I actually think it's deluded for like a person to be like, oh, I've not seen any of these, let me click a vote. Why? Because your opinion matters? But it's not even your opinion.
So when will we both become members?
Soon.
Yeah?
Yep.
Do you have this in writing?
Yeah, I'm in talks.
Cool. Do you have the Rocks connections?
Yeah, my people will talk to your people.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Cool.
I have people.
You do. I'll introduce you.
These are my people?
These are your people.
Cool.
Nice. That was the episode.
Yeah.
That was number 19.
How long was it? 2.5 or something?
2 hours 15. A nice 2 hours 15. Hope you've enjoyed like doing your laundry, also making dinner, and driving somewhere while listening to this.
Writing some code.
Writing some code. Oh yeah, shout out to our programmers that are listening.
The software engineers that are listening to this right now.
We've really captured a niche demographic of software engineers who enjoy film and TV.
Yeah.
Nice. Next week. Next time on. Maybe I should like edit like a little, like a spliced reel. No. We'll be talking about. Oh yeah, so it's more of an indie week in the cinema.
You tripped over your words.
I know.
There.
So badly. I think we're going to be talking about The Wedding Banquet, which is a remake of a like movie from the 80s, I think. It's a queer rom-com that's coming out. That's had very good reviews. And I really like the director. There is also another movie, again, it's one of these, like, I don't know how wide release it is at the moment, called The Uninvited, with Pedro Pascal and Walton Goggins, that apparently is good. But I don't think that's going to get wide release. So, and obviously we'll be talking about Andor and Doctor Who. Epic.
I can't wait for. What was the advertisement for the next episode of Doctor Who? What was the next time?
They're in Nigeria.
Oh, that actually might be interesting.
It actually might be interesting. Yeah. Please.
It's one that Shooty wanted as well.
Yes.
That was his wish, was like one set there, and then also like meeting the Beast, I think, from like the Beast Below episode.
Oh.
When he was like, where do you want to go, and like what film would you like to meet? That's already existed. And I was like, those two.
Huh. I don't think we're gonna get that second one. We've had a sequel already.
Yeah, I don't want to see Beast again.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from Doctor Who. My God.
Bye.